Thank you very much, guys. And that game proves even gods can bleed. The group of Deft, Reckless, manages to shine, coming up against his opposite number. Peke delivered, and Yellowstar had a great game. Probably, I want to go straight to you because I think this game really sort of summarized the play by single-target skill shots and just individuals really stepping up. Individuals that the majority of the desk had counted out. But I think let's talk about the game a little more.
I will say I betted on blue, but I knew Peke would show up. So that makes me 3 for 3 in my predictions right now. I downplayed LMQ Xiao Zhao, downplayed Froggen, and downplayed Peke, and they all showed me up. So I'm going to do one more bold statement, but Complexity's Prawley, you suck. You're terrible at this game, and you're just a disappointment to North America. So learn to carry, man. Get it together.
Let's pull the replay up very quickly of that, summarizes this play. Probably, I still want to stick with you because you were particularly excited about this one. Set it up.
So this one I like the best because watch Yellowstar and Cyanide because they should be getting all the credit, and they don't. But we can roll this clip right now. So he sees Dade's shadow being down, and he just goes straight for it. And then Dade's forced to ult early. And watch Cyanide, he just hits that cocoon. Not where Dade is, but where Dade's ult shadow was. And now it's just up to Peke and Reckless to follow up on it and clean up. So they're kind of the unsung heroes. They're not going to get the credit for it because they didn't get the kills, but they're the stars of that play.
Yeah, XPK's play, I mean, the casters were talking about this a lot, just so impressive in that skill matchup. And I mean, I was concerned with the drafting phase coming in because for those of you who don't know, before this game, Dade is 17-2 all-time on Zed. And he played Zed quite poorly this game. He was ulting the QSS 80 carry, and, he had a poor roam, which caused him to fall behind in CS early on in the game. But it's dangerous. It's super dangerous to let him have Zed. But they really powered through, and what an excellent game from Fnatic.
And definitely not trying to take too much away from Peke with the Dade play, but Peke was able to land charms in lane. And that's super risky, because in that matchup, if you shoot your charm out and it misses or he dodges it, Zed all ends and you automatically lose a trade. So it was really a confidence pick, picking that Ahri, giving him the Zed, because he goes, I know how to play this matchup and I have confidence with this champion.
Well, I'm happy you actually stopped there. We will be back to break down more of that amazing game. But first, we're going to throw it over to Shox at the interview lounge for a word with one of the winners.
Thank you very much, guys. And I want to welcome Fnatic's Reckless after that huge win over Samsung Blue. Let's take it back to the beginning first, because a lot of oohs and ahs when you guys let the Zed through his first pick. But that was a manageable risk to you guys?
Our plan going into bans and picks.
Oh, I think you're good.
Okay. Our plan going into bans and picks were really different from yesterday, because we felt our game yesterday against LMQ, we kind of lost the game already in bans and picks, even though we did a lot of mistakes. I can't admit we didn't. But still, like, having a good ban and pick phase actually gives you a lot more opportunities in the game as well. So we tried to think really hard this time, and we didn't really expect the Zed first pick though. We thought they would always save the mid lane pick for last pick, but they seemed to be really confident with picking Zed early, which gave us a really good lane swap, sort of like catchy combo with Elise and Thresh. And with that, I don't really have the peel that I usually want, so I decided that Lucian would be a really good pick here.
Yeah, you went in there with Lucian. You guys did good in the early game, but people always say versus Samsung Blue, you got to have that huge lead. So tell me what you concentrated on going into the mid and late game.
Once we actually got the lead, and I think it started with like a double kill top lane and got their tier 2 tower, we kind of tried to break down the game like step by step. So it was more like on how to follow the game flow without being picked off in between. So we were really trying hard to get a tower, and then in between getting next tower, getting the vision required to not get catched out. So we were really taking it slow, and I guess the game was a bit longer than it could have been. We could have finished a bit earlier, but then again, we were kind of desperate for a win here after yesterday, so it felt really good.
It must have. Talked me through facing Deft, because we know that you guys have built up quite a friendship in your time in Korea.
I mean, I didn't really talk to Deft in person before I came to Korea, and then he kind of approached me over the League client and added me and stuff. So after that, we talked daily, and then once we met here in person in Singapore, basically the first thing I did was give him my jacket, and then he gave him his to me, and then after that, it kind of just went on from there. So playing against him I was really nervous, actually. It was one of the few times when I've been so nervous. And once they lane swapped, the nervousness just let go, and I got a really good lane swap actually, and we're pretty far ahead of him once we got into the 2v2. So I felt like it was a bit unfair maybe, but in the end he played really well as well.
Talk to me a little bit more about being nervous. After All-Star, you told me, I want to shine on that big stage, and it hasn't happened yet. So how do you keep this going? You got a huge matchup versus OMG coming up later.
For me, before All-Stars, I didn't practice as much as I should have. Meanwhile, now I've been practicing as much as I can, even cutting down my sleep schedule a bit. But now, once we got to Singapore, I tried to catch up. So I feel really confident now, and I think we feel really confident, and we trust each other. So we were a bit dismotivated yesterday and kind of had to come back somehow, and facing Blue and beating them is a really good motivational thing for the team. So going from here, I think we have a really good chance to place top 2 in this group.
Yeah, you definitely answered on the Rift. Thank you very much and congratulations.
Thank you very much.
All right, now let's pass it back over to our guys at the desk.
Thank you very much, Shucks. There's so much to talk about for this game, so I'm going to open up to the panel and see where you guys want to flow with it. Let's start. Samsung Blue starting out traditionally, struggling in the early stages of the game. The difference here, Fnatic, their lanes, especially mid and duo, played exceptionally. They played Dragons well. And I'm going to say it, and you can argue or not, they out-rotated Samsung Blue convincingly in the mid-game.
Absolutely. I mean, there's not really they took the objectives better. They really utilized their power spike, because when you were looking at the team comps, they had to win that mid game, and they were aggressive about the way they played Dragon. They were aggressive about the way they played towers, and they made some moves. I mean, they got that huge chunk onto the tier 2 mid after baiting out that Dragon, and yeah, they did out-rotate Blue for sure.
I think this was one of the few times we see a team that's not in position for Dragon, but trying to contest it, play around it perfectly, and have like the rotational advantage. And I think we have a replay of that as well, if we can get that over your screen right now. Hey, it worked today. Yay. So basically what I want to show you is basically right now, what happened prior to this clip was Soas was split pushing top lane. This puts a timer on Samsung Blue. Blue is stuck on the right side of Dragon as well, because Fnatic has a position on the left side, upside. So there's two things Fnatic can do all the time. They can go mid or they can go top.
Yeah, I thought that that Blue had just seen Soas use his ult as well, so it was a bit of a surprise that he teleported in, because he was at a little bit of a disadvantage. So I don't think Blue thought this was a possibility coming into this.
Yeah, Soas Blue is ulti to just like speed up that timer. He wants the wave top to hit. He wants to have the option of the wave mid to go in. Even if Fnatic says after a while, hey guys, like this Dragon seems to be uncontestable, we can still trade that for at least one tower if we five-man roll mid. Now if we roll the clip, is this really good what happens? Fnatic TP's in. Yellowstar, beautiful flash hook. That will hit at least somebody. Somebody will get hit by that hook. He plays him in. Spirit does a good escape though. He just the Cataclysm in and EQs out. But Fnatic picks up that Dragon, I believe, and at the same time is in a good spot to rotate left, back into like where the objectives are, the towers are. They go a little bit deep. Pekka got a little bit chunked, but even then, like, just the positional play is good. A lot of these times, teams stay on the right side of the Dragon Pit, and that's how you exploit that. You keep pressure mid. Ideally, you have pressure top as well, and then the Dragon 50-50, but Fnatic took it.
Before we get to Prolly, double lift chime in.
And I just want to point out the catalyst for that play. Why was Fnatic able to push them off so quickly and win that fight? Mostly it was Thresh. It was Yellowstar's amazing play, and I just want to say, like, wrap up the statistic. Thresh, 85% kill participation so far in Singapore, just in Singapore. 4-2 win-loss, but those two losses, Dada 777 from OMG and Dance from Kaboom. So really, those guys are kind of they didn't play very well, to be honest. They might be the worst supports in their group, but 4-2, now 5-2, insane kill participation. He's going to be a high priority pick for the rest of the group.
I just wanted to point out a quick thing with Peke was not grouped that fight, and it was on purpose. Normally when you see like the Thresh, Elise, Ahri, skill shot, monster combo, you want to be grouped for this, but he wasn't, and it actually made the enemy team mess up their positioning, because they could no longer just stare at Thresh and dodge Thresh. Because now they have to dodge his Thresh here and dodge his Ahri Charm here. So it actually made Blue kind of like scatter a lot more than they needed to.
Fnatic layered them as well. Rarely would you see both of them go at the same time, except that one time where they went for a pick. So they send out one, this forces the guy to either left or right. The second one comes out, and then it's more likely to hit, and then the third one comes in after, and then it's almost guaranteed to hit, or the dude's all the way zoned out. So like I really like this like triple like missile launcher system that Fnatic had to catch out Deft over and over again.
It helps when you can actually land those targets, because they did manage to do it. Let's pull up the third replay that we do have queued up for you guys, and it's really the team fight that led to the Baron that sort of sealed the deal in Fnatic's favor. Let's roll this clip out and double lift start us off.
And right here, Spirit has a beautiful initiation on two champions with no flash, but Acorn really blows it right here. You see that Lulu ulti knocking Yellowstar out of the Cataclysm, which lets him walk away, and Lantern Cyanide at that actually was a really great initiation by Samsung Blue, but just because that happened and 2 of them got away without dying, Soaz can just come in, get a stun on Acorn. I feel like Acorn really dropped the ball there. Yes, Dade ended up ulting the QSS Lucian, but it's not really his fault. He doesn't really have a choice here. It was really Acorn who blew up the Cataclysm initiate and then ended up dying for free.
Well, and it was just the itemization here that allowed this to happen. Xpeke did go for that very early Zhonya's in this game, and then because Reckless got so far ahead, he was able to get a relatively quick QSS as well as a 4th item. And so just perfect itemization. At that point, Dade can't do anything. He missed his window of time. He was not split pushing. He was too far behind to win the split push, and that was it.
And Yellowstar lands another hook on Deft. I think there has been 4 or 5 just crucial hooks that breaks the entire momentum of that team fight, especially with the Kog'Maw having so much of the damage output in that fight. Peke flanks, and they just clean up.
Yeah, actually, when Dade was splitting, they actually responded perfectly well. Ari rushed that Zhonya's, and she just matched the split. She wasn't trying to fight the Zed, but she was just wave clearing everything, so Zed could never really build up that kind of big wave where you look at it and you're like, ah, Zed's in the side lane, let's run.
Into that game there, we did see the players taking some time to actually look at the screens. We saw Aranea, Peke, and Reckless looking at the end game stats, and the reason for that is it is damage done. I've had the fortunate to take a look at some of the numbers here. Reckless dealt over 335,000 damage over the course of that game. Peke, 275,000. The closest to them is 215 from Deft. So massive goals between the carries. It is, of course, a 2 damage threat. Anyways, we do need to move on, so we're going to step away for a quick moment. And when we come back, we will see how Najin White Shield stacks up against North America's Cloud9. Keep it tuned right here for more of our World Championship coverage.
That's actually nice on towards Dade. He's actually going to get the wild growth out of Acorn. They're coming through. Reckless gets the one. Can they shut down Acorn as well? They do. They're missing a Deft trying to turn this one around. There is a tidal wave coming in. Cyanide down in the middle though. They managed to pick up Deft. Spirit's in the front. Peke's got to come up big. There's a stun onto Acorn. Peke blows him up as Dade goes towards Reckless, but he's just going to QSS that off and surely will get the kill.
Nice!
Again, Fnatic decides, screw it, let's max range onto Acorn. We'll get the one. Heart will be the next one. They got the tower and they're going to get Acorn. This could be it for Fnatic. Now they're trying to get away. Peke goes massive.